All right, let's talk about Drake May. There was a lot of discussion about how good exactly is Drake May. The numbers, of course, were not very good last year, although obviously the situation was even worse, so it was hard to blame him. Hopefully a better situation this year. Let's talk about what happened. At first, that looked to be the case. So this play, zone coverage, you're going to run a play action. He's going to go towards the top of the screen. Watch as when May takes a snap, he runs this play action, and you see tight end moving in that direction. This scheme has worked. Play call has worked. This is something you weren't getting a lot of last year. May able to make the easy throw, and it's a completion for a first down. There was a real lack of easy throws for first downs last year, so getting one early on in this football game was certainly optimistic if you are a New England Patriots fan. This next play is going to be a even better play by May. Third down and goal, you have a receiver running a route, going to go towards the bottom of the screen against man coverage. So pure one-on-one matchup. It's Demario Douglas, who, did show some flashes last year. So looking for him, again, one thing they really lacked last year, even though they had Demario Douglas, was having a guy who could just win consistently in these spots. Well, okay, what's going to happen here? May is going to take the snap, and you see for Douglas, there's a bit of a window. This isn't wide open or anything, but nice throw and nice catch, and you can get a touchdown here. So what happens? Well, you get a nice throw and a nice catch, right? So hey, that's certainly a good thing having something like that happen. And as a whole, I did think the receivers played a lot better than we had seen them play last year. Again, not like a high bar to clear, but you did have more there. I want to see more from Kyle Williams. I thought he played good in his very small sample size. I'd like to see him with more snaps out there, but ultimately, you did see some of these flashes. Now let's go over here, because one issue with Drake May that he just has to fix is his accuracy. I mean, he's just missing way too many throws right now, and it's so hard to get an offense to consistently operate if you miss these throws. Watch, this one is going to be a pass where maybe he thought his receiver was going to go a little bit further deep, but still it's too high. This play, again, there is pressure, but, throw is off. That could have been a touchdown. You have this play, again, moving, but just behind his running back. This one, another one, not a horrible one, but a touch high, right? I'll show this one again. A lot of Patriots fans might say, well, wait a second. I mean, that, tight end has to make that catch, right? He may hit him in the hands. And while that's not untrue, it still was too high of a pass. Well, if it was caught, most of us would have just watched it and said, okay, whatever, let's move on. It still would have been a missed throw even if it was caught, because it makes it just more difficult on the tight end. And the reality is, you put that one, right on the numbers, you're going to complete that 99.9% of the time. You put it high, it's only 95% of the time, right? So still should have been caught, but wasn't a perfect throw. Also, this one, a couple of these, I'm not sure if they're miscommunications or missed throws. That one looked like it might have been a miscommunication. Tight end not being fully aware of where that one, what was going on that play. That was Hunter Henry. So that's worth mentioning. But these are things you have to clean up. They just are. It's hard for an offense to operate if you're getting plays that are working and your quarterback is missing the throws. So got to make those throws. And for the ones that are communications, for me, it looks like one that's definitively a miscommunication, and others that you maybe could talk yourself into being miscommunications. You got to communicate better too. So yeah. Of course, the biggest missed throw was this one, although this one was not the worst missed throw, if that makes sense. So let me explain. This is a zone coverage concept. Have a receiver who's going to be going more over the middle here. May is going to take the snap, and as of right here, he gets hit as he's thrown. Again, you have to know how that's going to work. You have to know that the offense, where the pressure is, especially when it comes from up front, because if you're going to make a throw while getting hit up the middle, you're aware of it. It's a decision he's making. But because of that, he kind of puts too much on it, trying to make sure that he can, hit it while getting thrown, and ends up overcorrecting and throwing the pick right there. Not ideal. That was two Diggs that he was trying to hit, who was open. It would have been a tough throw, but it could have worked. Like I said, that's not his worst missed throw of the game. He was getting hit. He overcorrected. It's a mistake that happens, but still, did turn the ball over in a game that at that point was just, a 3-point game, and they were winning in the second half. And kind of after that point, the Raiders really took over. A couple other things to note. So this play, it's a 4th down and 1 situation. They're going to run a play action. So they're trusting him on 4th and 1, which is interesting. Part of that is just look at the front that they're going up against. Definitely, this is not something you want to run into. So they're going to pass. Maye is going to take the snap, runs the play action. Good bliss pickup by Ramondre Stevenson, right? That's a great play. You see, he's just going to give his receiver a chance right here. And this is kind of one of the things last year, didn't have a ton of guys who were winning in these situations. You're going to Mac Hollins, who again, listen, I like Mac Hollins in a specific role. Not to keep harping on it, but Kyle Williams getting 7 snaps and Mac Hollins getting 38 snaps, to me, that should be shifted a little bit. Hollins not quite able to make that grab right there. It would have been a tough catch for sure. It was good defense, and the Raiders defense played better than I think we thought they were going to play week 1. That was also true. No problem with that from Drake Maye, but again, they're just still not executing on these plays. They haven't been executing on these plays really since Brady was there. They need to hit these more. Let's talk some pressure as well. This was definitely a thing worth noting, and there still were too many of these moments. While I said I think the receivers played better than they were last year, and they did, right? There were some plays that that were effective. I showed you them early on, right? That wasn't what you were seeing last year, at all. You're seeing it some this year, but there still is too much of this. Maye is going to take the snap on this play, and as of right here, he's looking down the field, and he doesn't love what he sees. Too much of this. You need to be able to get the ball out of Drake Maye's hands quicker, and that is just as much on the receivers as it is the quarterback, and just much on the coaching staff as it is the quarterback, right? Maye ends up just kind of trying to scramble, runs into a sack right there, and poor Will Campbell. Will Campbell did his job. He blocked that play well, and Maye ran into the sack because nothing was open down the field. This is why I always harp on sacks are not just an offensive line stat. Will Campbell did nothing wrong on this play, and poor Will Campbell has to have a sack added to his to his stats on this. But yeah, too much of that. Got to cut that kind of thing out of this whole situation. We'll talk about the fumble as well. This was kind of the dagger. Down 10, 6 minutes left. Not really a lot you can do there. I mean, that's, I'm saying on the last play, hey, what can the offensive line do? Not Will Campbell's best rep on this one. Even had help, and still the quick pressure results in not just a sack, but a strip sack, and they're, not able to make the play work on that one. So, yeah, not what you were hoping for the New England Patriots. You were hoping for a little bit more of an optimistic week 1. Unfortunately, we saw too much of what we saw last year. A little bit more flashes. Again, these things take time, right? The thing I will bring up is if you watch the Vikings-Bears game, the Vikings looked completely inept for 3 quarters, and then they turned it on and played great in the 4th quarter. If a team can do that throughout the course of a game, obviously a team can do that throughout the course of the season, and the Patriots looked better than the Vikings did for the first 3 quarters of that game. So, plenty of time left. But yeah, we'll see what happens. Those are my thoughts on Maye and his performance. Definitely you want a little bit more. What do you think? Let me know in the comments below. Always love hearing from ya. And of course, as always, thanks for watching.